So in the last video I mentioned that I need to start thinking about how I'm going to build a box for the batteries. I'm trying to go for this, I keep calling it the gum stick idea, this idea that they're long rods, sticks, I don't know what you want to call them, that I can slot into the engine bay. If you've ever seen the engine bay of most sailboats, it tends to be fairly deep, relatively not wide, whatever the opposite word of wide is, and okay tall, but not too tall. The diesel engine takes up a lot of space compared to the electric motor, so I should have a fair bit of space sitting above the electric motor where the diesel engine would have been. So with that in mind, I'm thinking, at least to start, I'm going to try with a 12-inch by 12-inch box that's 48 inches deep. So 1 foot by 1 foot by 4 feet. I'm looking at marine ply. It's going to be really expensive, so my current plan, you can probably just barely see this in shot, is I've got some leftover 3/4 builder's grade plywood that I'm using for my home renovation. I'm going to try to prototype the battery case out of this cheap construction plywood, and if I figure out something that works, I think I'm leaning towards building a marine ply box for the batteries. I don't like the idea of necessarily fiberglassing it. They don't have to be waterproof. They just need to not rot. And I've got a lot of woodworking tools. I don't have metalworking tools. I certainly don't have plastic tools, if there even is such a thing. Anyways, so that's what I'm going to start off with now. I want to get the batteries contained, the fuses mounted. I've got some other stuff you'll see later in the video on that. I want to get the battery turned into a singular unit with a plug and a switch that I can connect to before I start to play with the Quattro. So that's what I'm going to start working on now. I have no idea if this is going to work, but that's pretty par for the course on this channel now, isn't it? So what I'm planning to do is rip two pieces that are 48 inches long by 12 inches wide, and then I'm going to rip two more pieces 48 inches long that are 10.5 inches wide. So the outer dimensions will be 12 by 12 because it's 3/4 inch ply. And I'm going to do a quick touch off, check the measurement to make sure it's close to 12 inches, adjust if necessary, and then do the rest of the cut. I am also keenly aware that these are not the straightest cuts in the world. And again, it's a mock-up, I don't care. This is about making sure everything's going to fit. I will waste my time being precise when it actually matters. It does not matter yet, right now. All right, so I've got my two 10.5 inch pieces. I didn't think I was going to get the 4 pieces out of that last sheet. So this one I had a bit of scrap left over that's a bit long. I've got to trim that. Where's my end pizza? Trick. If you step on a pencil and snap it in half, sharpen both ends, and well, now you've got a funny double-ended pencil. Better than throwing it in the garbage. Absolutely unrelated. I saw the movie The Budapest Hotel, I think it was called, or the Hotel Budapest yesterday. Good Lord, it was brilliant. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. I don't even like movies, and I loved that one, which might mean that it's a terrible recommendation and you shouldn't watch it. Anyways, here's the cutting. So what I did was, while the guard was still set at 10.5 inches, the same one I used, the same spacing I used to cut these sidewalls out, I cut some scrap 2x4 into similar dimensions. Again, this is not the right way to square up a box. Don't think for a second it is. This is just me being, I want to get this done. Let's get a little bit more kick to this. Ah, that's better. The goal of this is just to make sure that all of the parts I plan to put into this battery will fit in this box. There we go. So far, I'm surprised at how much I'm enjoying making these videos. The only thing that bothers me is that because of the YouTube copyright algorithm gods, I'm scared to listen to music. And listening to music while you work is really quite enjoyable. So that makes me sad, but everything else makes me happy. Here's the top. If you were curious just how construction grade it is, that's the good side, which is not very good. All right, found my glue. So what I'm going to do is glue this bottom on and then use the screws as clamps. When I was watching a lot of YouTubers learning about woodworking, I saw a lot of them use their fingers to spread the glue. And I thought, okay, well that works. And it does. The problem is, when you're doing fine woodworking, which this is not, to be clear, and you touch the glue with your fingers, and then later on you touch the finished surfaces with your fingers, it leaves little marks, and if you don't happen to notice them and sand them off before you do your finishing coat of oil or whatever, the fingerprint marks come through in the finish, and it's very frustrating. And my instructor was like, don't do that, don't do that. And I didn't properly understand why until I did it one time. And then I realized, when I went to do the finishing, look at the marks I left behind. And he was like, yep, and that's why I was telling you not to do it. Generally speaking, when somebody who's really good at their craft says to do or not do something, it's a lovely idea to listen to them because they probably know what they're doing. These are my good pants. I shouldn't have worn these. I should have worn my work pants. I was thinking, oh, but I'm going to be in a video. I better look good. Yeah, that was silly. Oh, come now. Oh, come now. You're making me look like such an amateur. Oh, wait, I am. Okay, that's horrible, but it will do. There we go. That is the prototype box. Oh, I like these pants. I didn't want to get glue on them. I'm gonna go deal with that. Bye. Second day. Probably can't really see me very well, but so be it. The box is more important. The glue dried overnight, and now I want to make a lid for it, and then I got to make a couple of end caps for it. What I'm going to do for now to make it easier to mount and unmount this is I have these, if you can see them. They're a threaded insert that goes into the wood and allows you to get a machine thread. Particle board doesn't hold up to being opened and closed very often. So what I want to do is, using this gauge, I'm setting this to 3/8, which is half of 3/4, which you can probably see on the side here, puts a mark 3/8 of an inch from the side. I'm going to do that on both of these, and that'll be where I'm going to drill the hole for the bolt. I have to still figure out the end caps as well. So now I have the center line of where I'm going to drill. I have to decide where I'm going to put the bolts. So let's say we come in 3 inches. Okay, Google, What is 42 divided by 3?
The answer is 14.
Oh, 14. Okay, so I will come in 17 inches from either side. Did I mention I love living in the future? And this is just to hold everything together. Oh, don't want it in hammer mode. Probably what would have been a better way is to do a pilot hole. Does it matter? Let's experiment. Hope I've gone through all the way. Actually, what I should do is get some tape and actually tape off the end of the tip. Hello, Mr. Tape. Some hockey tape just to prove I'm in Canada. All right, so if I drill that deep, now I know I'm through the board a little bit. Right through and on. When I do this with a real wood, I'll set up the pillar drill. And I'll be much more cautious. And be using, higher quality wood. Whew, drill bit gets hot. Okay. Bar clamp coming off. All right, so now take the lid off, and I'm going to need 8 of these inserts. Oh my gosh, what is in? Did it get? Oh lordy, I lose things so fast. Oh, there it is. This, ladies and gentlemen, and others, is why you should keep your shop clean. I should tape this again so I know how deep to go. Okay, I'm in deep enough. So what I'm going to do is actually grab my quick grips before I screw this in. Because I just kind of wing-a-dinged it, I ended up getting this off a bit. So I'm scared when I go to drive this in, it's going to pull apart. So I'm just going to use the quick grips to provide some structural support while I drive this home. One of the differences with marine ply / Baltic birch, well, Baltic birch is its own thing. You see how thick each of these pieces are? They're 1/8 of an inch. In Baltic birch, you have twice as many layers, each one half the thickness. The reason why that's good is that each layer in the plywood crosses like this. So as it gets wet, it wants to expand perpendicular to the grain. So the layer above and below it will be fighting the one layer stretching or expanding in one way, and so on. So it has very good dimensional stability when it's wet. But also, more layers is just more better. Oh, you can see how it's trying to split there as I drive this home. That's why I wanted the quick grips here. Again, this is prototype. That is entirely unacceptable for anything that's meant to last. I hope I'm not completely blocking your view. One more to go. I should have washers for this. I don't have washers for this, but that's okay. Okay, I gotta degunk these first. Ooh, that's probably not long enough. I'm probably gonna have to get longer one of these bolts. That's not much sticking out the bottom. So it's probably good I don't have a washer because I don't think it would fit. Damn it. There we go. It'll be fine. You know what actually would have been better than this clip is clasps, like buckle clasps. Oh well, hindsight is 20/20. That is good enough for my purposes. Now, I need to think about the end caps. Wow, those are really far off. All right, much more square. Certainly good enough for what we're doing right now. How's this side? Oh boy, this one is really far off. I'm new to woodworking as well. I'm new to a lot of things. I hope I can still say that in my 70s, 80s, and 90s. Assuming I'm gifted to live that long. I would love my last day on this earth to be a day where I still learn something new. All right. Much closer. I'm actually curious, did I get it relatively square? 16 and 9? No, it's not even square. Wow, this sucks. Whatever. What I'm going to do is cut an end cap for this, and I'm going to glue it to the 3 fixed sides. I'll put a little piece of Scotch tape here and screw that into place, and that'll make the back permanently attached, but the lid will still be able to come up. So this is how I'm going to do this. Where is my masking tape? Hello, Mr. Masking Tape. Where did you get to? That's just a barrier for the glue. One thing you have to be careful of with your screws before you put the batteries in is to make sure there's no metal protruding anywhere, because if it scratches off the insulation, I believe, dust. I believe the outer shell of the batteries is ground for the battery. I haven't scratched any off to confirm that, but either way, I don't want to have any metal, like screws or whatever, accidentally poking in. So before I start putting batteries in, I'm going to give this thing a really good look over. I may even put a lining of fabric in, just something to help minimize the chance of scratching the batteries. As I cleaned the vacuum cleaner, I became the vacuum cleaner. Okay, I'm going to take a break and let that glue kick off, and then we will take this upstairs and start considering assembly. Yay! Welcome to my floor of my office. I have moved the battery off of the desk and into the box. Now what I need to do is a little bit of Lego. I need to figure out how everything is going to mount on the face. So I'm going to have the power button, like the main power switch here, and then I need to mount the soft switch for the BMS. I need to mount the button for the pre-charge resistor, and then I need to put outputs for the VE bus and for the BMS USB outputs. The real goal is to figure out how long I need to make the wires and where I'm going to mount the parts. So you can already see inside here, there's a huge gap. So I already know when I make this again out of the real marine ply, I can narrow this up quite a bit. I think I'm looking at a solid 5 centimeters I could take off there. So I will probably just let the camera run and see what comes out of this. I'm just gonna sit here and play with cables. I'm gonna probably make an extension for the positive lead. The shunt, it originally had, where are they? These standoffs, and it was originally mounted roughly like that. I'm thinking now what I might do instead is I picked up some bolts. So what I might do is just put this directly in line like this and then cover it in shrink wrap. If this ever blows, something so badly has gone wrong that cutting open some shrink tubing and replacing it is going to be the least of my worries or concerns. That'll be decided though. I could, in theory, if I make the cables long enough, put it down like this and mount it across like this, because no matter what I do, this has to sit here. Obviously it'll be up here, but there's a fair bit of thickness to it. So if I flush this up, I've still only got like 3 or 4 millimeters, maybe not even 4 or 5 millimeters right there. And I could pop this up straight into this, and then I can keep the standoffs. But of course, if I don't use the standoffs, then that's a bit of money saved if I just go inline. I should also mention, the reason this is on the floor is because I want to free up my desk space for the Victron when I'm playing with it. So my current plan is the cable will come out, and then I'll have a fairly long cable going up to the Victron Quattro. So it can be up on the desk, and I can shove this in onto the desk. So one of the things I want to be able to do is, when the face comes off, have enough slack that I can move it out of the way. So I need to leave some slack on these wires. When I actually build this in, I think I'm going to make a little wooden support to hold it up against the battery. But for now, a little capstan tape will do the trick nicely. All right, let's try to put this in without ruining this tape. Oh, bollocks. This is not going well. Unstick thyself. This is definitely not my finest work. Come on. Definitely, definitely, definitely not. Okay, now you get out of the way. You come up. Oh, this is just an absolute fault. Is that enough to hold it in place? That's all I really want. It's holding. Okay. come across like that, put a bolt here, shrink wrap it, run it over to there. Or by the next BMS, just get a longer lead on it. This is the Bluetooth module, so I'm going to want to keep it, and this also has Bluetooth, which is relatively short range. I want to keep both the Bluetooth right towards the front. So imagine you opened up the engine bay and you want to check the status of the batteries. The Bluetooth receivers are really close to you. If I put that like that, that would give me enough room to make that accessible and that accessible. Will this still reach? Yes, it will. I think that might be where I mount that. Yes, that's where I'm going to mount that. All right, one decision made. All right, to make these easy to remove, I brought a couple of these washers that dig into the back of the wood. I don't know what they're called. But that way, they'll pull from the backs. When I put the machine screw through the front, it'll pull tight. Nothing like drilling oh, bollocks. Do I have to disassemble this battery to take that out? And even then, it won't fit. You know what I could do is drill a pilot hole. Okay, yes, I know what I'm doing. Okay. Safety McLarses. Where are they? Everything's a mess. Everything's a mess. I need a whacking stick. You can see I'm getting better about wearing my glasses. 2 system minus, 2 battery minus. All right. It's going to go in the back to make sure I don't scratch. One of the things I'm doing, it's probably overkill, but I'm using a split washer to help lock this into place. Oops. Don't need the screw on there anymore. Okay, 2 battery minus. So I need a short negative run. I need, what size bolt do I need for this? Or bolt. What size ring terminal do I need for this? Doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop, yay. Will my horrible singing trigger YouTube's copy protection? Doopy doop, me and my. I absolutely loved that song when I was younger. I mean, hell, I still love it. It's cheese as can be, and I dig it. Yep, that'll do the trick. Oh, I have so many of these big connectors. If only I had a bolt that's the right size. I have very few of these. I have lots of these. I'm going to use this. All right. Okay, so I want this one to go on like that, so I can come up like this. Now, how do I not lose that orientation whilst I shove this into the thingy? You know, this might actually work because I don't need the bolt to provide the connection. The face-to-face is the connection. The bolt's just holding it together. And there's enough contact surface there. I think it's okay. Let's see how much 3-to-1 actually looks like. Three to one being the shrinking ratio of this. Ow. Wow, I'm impressed. So I've decided I am going to not use the standoffs. They're annoying, they're an extra hole through the wall of the battery, and I really don't see the benefit of it, especially after seeing how much the heat shrink tubing shrank. So I am going to use these kind of bolts. They have a built-in washer that's very tooth serrated, whatever you want to call it. And it's going to make a really good connection. So yeah. Again, I'm way overrating things, so I'm sure that's going to be fine. Oh, just fits. Lovely. So what I'm planning to do is I want to cover the copper, but I want to leave the label visible. There we go. So my plan will be to have the shrink tubing. I'll have to futz with this a bit, but grab like that. So it leaves the label visible when it shrinks down, but it covers the copper contact. I might have to be finicky with the knife on it, like let it shrink down and then come along and cut it to make sure the label's visible. Not so much because the label itself matters, I mean, I know what it is, but more to make sure that it's known that this is an inline fuse and not just a really, 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 really fat joint. Not that kind of joint. Not that I judge. If you enjoy that, you enjoy that. It's all good. Just ain't my cup of tea. So this is going to go like that on the face. So this is going to probably come through here like this. Do I want to come through like that, or do I want to come through like this? If I come through like this, width or height, what matters more? This is way thicker than the height of these. But it's also way thick. Well, actually, no. Along the side makes sense because the BMS needs a bit of space. It's already taking up a lot of thickness. So yes, that's what I will do. I can absolutely understand now why companies charge what they do for batteries. But if you're willing to pay with your time, there's a lot of opportunity to save money. Incoming noise. Ow, that's hot. Well, I just blew a $65 fuse. God damn, that was frightening. So, I should have been wearing glasses. I don't know how much this is going to be visible. I am having a little bit of an adrenaline rush right now, but I just blew the hell out of this battery. Or rather, out of the fuse. The fuse just saved the battery. At least I hope it saved the battery. Oh, good Lord. You can see that right there, but smoked the hell out of the end of that bolt. And you can see, I don't know if it's focusing properly, but yeah, nice little vapor trail of copper right there. I will probably beep out my cuss, but that was a very loud, oh fuck. Oh, I just said it again. Maybe I just beeped it out again. Anyways, that was frightening. I was not wearing my glasses. Good Lord. Okay, I'm a little shaky right now because that just scared the living hell out of me. Wow. Scorched the hell out of that. I don't know if you can see that. That was just the splash damage. Wow. There's soot all over the back of this. And my fuse is toast. I mean, this is part of me is really sad because I just finished assembling this. Let me put this into continuity tester mode. Yep, dead. Fuse is shot. You can see how I smoked. There's soot on the end of the wire there. Wow. At least I caught this one on camera. So, wow. 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 That's all I can keep saying. I don't really know what to say here. That was a phenomenal amount of energy that just got dumped through that fuse. That fuse is absolutely toast, and I probably owe a whole lot to that fuse right now. Like literally, it's not, the heat shrink tubing hasn't even cooled off. Oh, balls. But you know what? It's like airbags in your car. You never want to see them. But if you're in a wreck, you're so glad you have them. I feel so stupid right now that I made that mistake. Like, holy hell do I feel dumb. But if you think that you're not going to make a mistake, you're going to make a mistake even worse. The fact that I knew that I could screw up is the reason why I went right to a T-class fuse right from the beginning. I mean, this would always happen. I didn't know when. I sure wished it wasn't this soon, but it happened. And I had the right gear to keep me safe. All right, you know what? That's enough for this video. I mean, there's not much I can do anyway. I need to order a replacement fuse. Yeah. I don't know what else to say except when we're building these batteries, we're dealing with some very, very serious power. Holy shit, that was frightening. I don't know if it's going to come through on the video. I guess I'm going to edit the video and put this one up, and I'm just going to have to wait until the parts come in before I can proceed anyway. I'm going to have to order a new fuse. Whew. I'm the Digital Mermaid. I just got, well, do I say I got really lucky? Because I was careful and I ordered the right equipment to keep me safe. I'm the Digital Mermaid. Yeah. I don't know what to say, except I guess I'll see you next week. Bye.